So when I'm thinking of ideas for paintings, I go through this book a lot. And this is basically where I put thumbnail sketches, which are essentially just shapes, values, marks that may look meaningless to anyone other than me, in an effort to think of a good composition. Sometimes that's the first step of a painting, and sometimes the first step of a painting is just writing down words and trying to think of a concrete idea through wordplay. So for this painting, this one was very of the moment. The idea that you could create the amount of turmoil and chaos from a massive decision on tariffs and then go play golf, to me speaks volumes not just of an individual or a political party, but to a kind of mentality of being immune to the consequences from any action. So, so I wanted to tap into that a little bit, and that kind of meant being literal in some ways, you know, the literal idea of playing golf amongst chaos. But I also wanted to sort of juxtapose styles. A lot of my work is in some ways inspired by illustration from the 1950s and 60s, in advertising specifically. And that type of illustration I was very drawn to because it's a lot of happy faces, it's a lot of sort of just smiley, cheerful disposition. It's just kind of like loudly that, despite what happens in the background and what happens maybe offset or off screen, or what had to happen in order to create such joyfulness. And sometimes that's a really brutal juxtaposition to the cheerfulness. So with this one, I didn't want to have it be brutally that way, but you know, some of it does smack you in the face a little bit. So when I begin the drawing, I'll work with earth green, and that earth green is a polychromos color pencil that I like using because it's a lighter color and it kind of feels good on canvas or wood panel, or in this case on illustration board. I'll go over top of that with an indigo blue, and the indigo blue just kind of helps to really make the lines more concrete. So at the beginning there are a lot of searching lines, there are a lot of lines that I'm just kind of like looking for the right composition. And a good thumbnail sketch is going to feel good at a very small size, which usually means it'll translate well large. So I try to abide by that as much as I can, but sometimes as you make things larger, you realize that you need to adjust things here or there just to make it work at a larger scale. And sometimes that just means the details need to be a bit more rendered or figured out ahead of time. So after I'm done drawing, this is maybe one of the most frequently asked questions I get, but I use workable fixative, which is a spray that I use over top of the drawing in order to preserve it so that the lines don't get blurred as I paint over top, as I add water media over top. So I will go down into the garage of my studio, which is outdoors, and then I will use this spray to adhere the painting. I make sure that the fumes aren't really getting near me that much. I'll let it air out for about 10 minutes, and then I'm ready to paint. As I begin painting, I put down a color that kind of, in my mind, is the theme color for the whole piece, something that just helps to unify all the lighting. It also kind of helps to get rid of the white of the board. So I oftentimes find that beginning the painting process, you're sort of slowly whittling away at things that are intimidating. So that first purple layer really serves as a way to just kind of bind everything together. And then what I'm doing is working on basically background to foreground. So I hate to admit it, but it's basically the way that Bob Ross works. So putting in shapes here that might go over the line at points, but I know that that's okay because I'm going to ultimately overlap each of those shapes with more paint. And I'm also trying to get these colors in because to me, the kind of like flatter colors in the background here, they'll just help me sort of see the piece for what it is, especially when I step back and look at it. So, you know, I try to work all over in that way, working with very, very large areas that get smaller ultimately. So working with larger brushes that then get smaller, working with larger amounts of color that then get a bit tighter, a bit more refined. And then when I step back again, those larger shapes, they really kind of help me see everything for what it is. So after I do that, I like to reestablish some of the lines. And I don't like using just black, so as I figure out the colors in the early stages, I'm really thinking of a darker color that meshes well with the rest of the colors on the palette. So I know that the shadows are gonna have kind of a tinge of purple and violet, kind of like a muted purple. So I wanted to make sure that the other darker colors also kind of mesh with that. So now I'm getting into some of the details in the figures, and I'm doing this after I did the background colors because again, it kind of helps to make the background feel as if it's truly in the back. And then it also means that I'm thinking about larger ideas getting smaller. So now with each of these shipping containers, this is probably the part that took the longest because I wanted the shipping containers to have different, unique colors and really feel, you know, like they're actually the type of shipping containers you would see on a barge. But I wanted them to feel weathered as well. And then as I'm adding in the white parts on the shirts here, that's what's really helping to make sure that I can actually truly see the colors for how they are. And it might look like pure white on here. It's not pure white. It's more of kind of a cream tone. And then this yellow that I'm mixing in here, as you see, the way that my palette looks a little more chaotic. This yellow I wanted to stand out a decent amount. I didn't want it to stand out too much because it's a loud color, especially amongst all of those kind of like browns and grays in the sky. So I wanted it to pop and get attention, but not as much. Here we throw the golden arches in the background because why not? And I wanted to have some rats and some kind of like overgrown grass to show that in the foreground especially, to show that there's a little bit of, you know, a sense of reality here. Even the drain, like putting the rat in the drain to me is like adding a sense of reality. So these two fellows here might be rich and might be, you know, living the dream, but there are bits of reality surrounding them on all sides. And it kind of makes them feel more like an island, which is something I was trying to achieve. Now the flesh tone colors, what I wanted to make sure of is that they didn't necessarily blend totally into the background, because there are a lot of background colors that you could argue look like flesh tone colors. So the flesh tone colors, and I do this in a lot of paintings, they actually kind of have all of the other colors mixed in. And that kind of includes the violets, the greens, the grays, some of the shipping container colors that you see in the background there. And now I'm just kind of adding in some flowers, make it kind of corny happy, a la those 50s illustrated ads I was talking about earlier. And now we're going in with the finest brush to just get a few details here and there. So some of the names on the shipping containers, I'm not trying to add every single name, but just enough to make it a little more legible. Adding in some blades of grass right there. Tidying up the Sizzler flag right there in the back. I really enjoy titling my work. So for this one, I wanted an ad that, you know, kind of alluded to that. So I thought Sizzler, because all you can eat buffet, and to me there is something about the all you can eat lifestyle that is very American. The concept that there are limitless resources, and the ignorance that comes with that. So so there's a Sizzler ad, which then led me to the title of the piece, which is Free Refills. To me, that speaks to the idea that there are actions you take that have no consequences, consumption decisions that you make that do not affect you in any way, even though they affect other people behind the scenes. So this painting is in many ways encompassing all of that.